Great. And let me publish the results of the poll. So most people have either heard of, actually, most people are not familiar with citizen science at all. So Robin, let's make sure we do a deeper dive today into what citizen science is all about. Some folks have heard about it, but their libraries are not necessarily participating and offering citizen science programming. And then there are a few folks here that have citizen science programming in their library. So Robin and I are from the National Citizen and Community Science Library Network. You know, I should change my name. I realize it doesn't say who I am. My name is Tara Cox, and I'm joined by Robin Salthouse. We represent SciStarter, the National Girls Collaborative Project, Arizona State University. These are the three organizations that are helping to support libraries across the country in becoming community hubs for citizen science. And what that means, we're going to go into it, but that can mean a lot of different things. And we are excited today to be thinking about the summer reading theme all together now and how citizen science can really support that theme. We thought it was a really great tie-in, and that's why we shifted our idea for what this webinar was going to be. It was going to be about something else, and we said, I think folks might want to hear about this. So what is citizen science? Why don't you type in the chat what comes to mind when you think of citizen science? I'm curious to hear for those who may have heard of it before, or even if you haven't, what comes to mind when you think of citizen science? Volunteer weather spotters, backyard bird count, so making observations. Anna says people helping scientists with research. Kendra says ordinary citizens helping scientists. Community sharing information, data pooling, large data supplies from many individuals. Absolutely, you have hit the nail on the head, as they say. Citizen science is a global movement that allows people from all walks of life to collaborate with scientists and contribute and participate in real scientific research. It's how people are making an impact about things that they care about and really engaging with their communities and scientists in those communities. So on the right, you'll just see a screenshot from SciStarter. That's the website that really supports citizen science projects. Citizen science projects are as diverse as the world we live in. There are projects that are about our health, about flu tracking, or an online project where you can actually contribute to Alzheimer's research. There's also projects about the environment, about collecting information about our daily environment. There's also projects about measuring light pollution, all kinds of stuff. And we're going to go into 4 projects today that libraries across the country are really focusing on because they are really good community projects that many people can participate in. And then we're going to offer some ideas for programming around those projects. As I mentioned, SciStarter is the global hub for citizen science. There are over 3,000 projects that come from a variety of sources, universities, other laboratories, people that are like the scientists that are, they come to SciStarter and say, can you help us get the word out about our projects so that people can participate in? So we encourage everyone to make an account on scistarter.org, and then you'll be able to track projects, you'll be able to search projects, and figure out what projects are meaningful to your communities that you can bring and start to get people participating in. Even yourself, that's the beauty of citizen science. Anybody can do it. You may have also heard it being called community science. So either of those two are the types of projects that we're talking about today. I'm not sure if Kathy is online. She said she was going to join us. Is there anyone else from the collaborative summer reading program, summer library program that would like to just say hello? I'm not sure who else is here from the organization, but if Kathy pops up, we can have her say hello. So for those who don't know the collaborative summer library program, they set a theme for many states participate in this theme. This year's theme is All Together Now. So if you're a participating state, what are some ideas that come to mind when you think of the All Together Now theme from this for this summer? What are some programming ideas? Welcome, everyone. It's so great to see everyone in the chat. Cleanup day, says Nicole. Yes. Working on gathering data together, Michael says. Community art. Collaborative crafts. Wonderful. BioBlitz, says Nicole. You might be onto something, Nicole. Collaboration. Absolutely. Citizen science. Community members coming together. Absolutely. So even if you're not focusing on the All Together Now summer reading theme, we thought that the programming and the resources that we're going to be talking about today are good for any summer library programming, year-round library programming. So even if that's not your theme, you'll find a lot of useful things in today's webinar. Excuse me. So when we heard the theme was All Together Now, we immediately thought this ties so well into citizen science because we really find the benefits of citizen science are kind of threefold. It empowers communities. It broadens the scope of who can participate in science, right? We're kind of dismantling this idea that science can only be done in a lab by somebody wearing a lab coat and technical lab equipment. Science can happen anywhere, and many more people can participate in it than we might think. And it brings communities together around issues they care about. That's the other kind of idea that really resonated with this summer's theme. And I've already heard you saying those ideas in the chat. So some of those projects on SciStarter that you can find are about bringing awareness to certain issues in the community. So it's a great place to start. Citizen science also increases STEM literacy. So folks are able to engage from young to old, from all walks of life, are able to engage in learning about the nature of science, in data collection and analyzing and interpreting data. So they're not just practicing science skills, but actually contributing to scientific research. So this is a little different than your typical STEM program, right? Because it is taking it one step further from just practicing to contributing. And then that's kind of the third big benefit, is that it enhances and accelerates research. We not only are increasing the diversity of the types of data that we're getting because so many more people are doing it, we're enabling investigations that wouldn't be possible without the power of public participation. There was, one of some of our favorite kind of findings from citizen science, or things that citizen scientists have discovered. One is a new aurora, a new what's it called? What's the other name for an aurora? Why am I blanking, Robin?
Constellation?
No. Oh gosh, it'll come to me. So going out, somebody probably put it in the chat, didn't they? Northern Lights. Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, the Northern Lights. So having people go out, a citizen scientist discovered a new type of aurora, and when they contributed that data back, they were able to actually name that aurora. What do they name it? I think Steve was the name of the new aurora. New species are being discovered because of citizen science. Research is being accelerated because citizen scientists are able to put in lab hours at a much faster rate than one person would be able to. So these are kind of the big benefits of citizen science and how we kind of think it ties into that summer reading theme. Any questions about that before we go on to the actual projects that themselves and what your library might be doing with citizen science? Feel free to type them in the chat. Just a quick shout out. You can do a deep dive into more about what is citizen science in 2 online tutorials that we have. The first is SciStarter.org/training. And then once you complete that, you can specifically for libraries take part 2, which is all about how libraries can become community hubs for citizen science. So you're getting a little bit of that today, but you can do some deeper dives here. And please feel free to share these, not only with your staff, but you can share that first tutorial with anybody. It's a great kind of start for any of your patrons to learn about citizen science. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Robin to talk about some of the projects that we thought would be good starting places for libraries to engage with citizen science this summer.
So all together now, we can, excuse me, participate in improving our understanding of biodiversity. That's a big issue right now, is understanding what species are around us and which ones may be disappearing. So the iNaturalist is an app, but it can also be used on a computer. And you just go out into nature, which may even be your backyard, the local park or forest, and take photos and upload them either through the iNaturalist app that's on your smart device, or capture them on a digital camera and upload them through your iNaturalist account on your computer. So this is a great way for libraries to get involved. If people don't have these technologies, your public computers can help people put these observations through their iNaturalist account. And what's also really nice about this project is you'll get feedback over time of other people who are able to identify, and the AI, artificial intelligence on the program, actually does a great job getting identification started. So whether it's that butterfly or bee that you're seeing buzzing around, or a certain plant, you are helping scientific research by uploading this data to the iNaturalist account, your iNaturalist account. Also, when you do iNaturalist, make sure through your SciStarter account that you connect your username for iNaturalist to your SciStarter account. That way, it helps scientific research on the SciStarter side, understanding how everyone is using these projects to advance scientific knowledge. And then also you have the ability to discuss this online with fellow iNaturalist participants. And so I'm gonna put that app or the kit in our chat here. So make sure you visit that page. And we provide, which we'll talk about later, instructions on how to build a kit around this project. The next thing we're going to talk about is a project called Globe Observer. And this is a project run by NASA to help look at things from the sky. You're helping ground truth different information from their satellites. The one SciStarter focuses on through the library program is mapping mosquito habitat. Mosquitoes are a really important health concern. Mosquito bites are one of the biggest killers in the world, so it's important that we identify those mosquitoes and where they're being found, not only in the United States, but around the world. And that also has to do with climate change. You know, what are these warming temperatures doing to our local environments, in by the way of, you know, mosquitoes moving into areas that weren't there before. But you certainly can go on and participate through looking at clouds, land cover, and trees. Directions are through the app. Again, it's an app you can download through your smart device. You do need a smart device to participate, but we have a kit that explains how to work on gathering the data and submitting that for the mosquito information. So a real important project that is being supported by NASA. Okay, Tara?
Okay. Oh, my camera's off. One moment. So I have a question. What do all of these animals have in common? Oops, no, nobody saw that. Nobody saw my reveal. I went to the next slide accidentally. Type it in the chat. Ah, you all saw it. They're all upside down. I did notice that. I accidentally put all of these photos upside down, and someone said that's what they all have in common. Yes. Do they all have wings? Maybe. I wasn't sure about the top right. But yes, you saw my big reveal with my butterfingers here. They're all pollinators. And pollinators is an extremely popular event and a citizen science program that we see libraries engaging in. One of the many projects that focuses on pollinators is the Great Sunflower Project. So someone before asked is community gardening considered citizen science? There are many projects that you can actually tie into the community garden programming, like this Great Sunflower Project, which helps to count pollinators and help scientists, unfortunately, identify where there are declining species of pollinators. As we know, honeybees, for example, there are certain animals that are declining. And so we are gathering data. There's this global project gathering data on pollinators. And this project is so popular in libraries because anyone can do it. In fact, children can engage in citizen science as well. I don't think we mentioned that yet. You have to be 13 and older. Oh, here's Kathy. You have to be 13 and older to have a SciStarter account. However, if you have an educator or parents, caregivers, facilitators, you can collect data together, and then kind of one person submits it into the account or into the project. Hi, Kathy. I had a slide introducing you before and just saying if you wanted to say hello. Do you want to just pop on and say hi? Oh, you know what? Kathy's probably, I made it so that people can't unmute themselves. Let me find Kathy really quickly in the participant list. Okay. I think you should be able to unmute yourself, Kathy.
All right. Hello. I am so sorry.
No worries.
My meeting calendar ended up on a day in May, and so I wasn't seeing the 2 o'clock. So thank you so much, Tara, for presenting on All Together Now and all this great information from SciStarter. Really, really excited to be a partner with Collaborative Summer Library Program.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kathy. All right, let's keep going. So we have our last kind of spotlight project right now is the Globe at Night project, which is an international citizen science campaign to raise awareness on light pollution. So light pollution, obviously one of the biggest things that affects is being able to see the night sky, but we think there's actually a lot of different things that are affected by light pollution, such as our sleep, bird migratory patterns. So it's another really important data collection piece that we want to see where is their light pollution. Here's an actual picture of somebody taking a light measurement using a light meter, which is one of the tools that you need for this project. We'll talk to you about, we have a list of all the materials that you might need for these projects. Many of them don't need materials at all, but some of them do have some specialized tools. And this one is another really great project that anyone can participate in, super accessible. And we have some really great programming ideas around this. So these are the 4 projects. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, just before you move on, we had a question.
Yeah,
if we made these from Lauren, if we made these kits for teen community service, would every teen need their own SciStarter account, or would everyone use a common library one? Actually, there's a couple different ways you can do that, Lauren. The teens may want their own accounts, but you could certainly have a common account. And there's also a way of doing this through another service that SciStarter offers. And, we can talk about that as well, especially if you are doing it to track service hours. So it's kind of up to you, maybe up to the teens. Again, we ask that the teens are 13 years or older. So I'm going to also try to find some more information to stick in this webinar of the third way to kind of help track participations for your library. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Robin. Newtown City Library said, North Dakota has horrible light pollution and pollution from oil wells and oil flares. And it just made me think about, we didn't mention this yet, but citizen science goes beyond just collecting and informing scientists. It's a way to use this information to go back to your community leaders and actually try to offer up some changes. I'm thinking about light pollution in particular. There are a lot of different new ways of setting up lights that minimize light pollution. So citizen science can be used as a way to inform back to your policymakers and your local community leaders about what's happening in your community. All right, so some programming ideas around these projects. I'm gonna let Robin start with kind of our very simplest way of introducing citizen science to your community.
Right. And we'd love to hear if you have ideas that just come to mind. This is a great brainstorming time. So please share that those thoughts and ideas in the chat. So as Tara mentioned, a display, a bulletin board is a great way to get started. You know, citizen science may be a new term to your community. When I was part of the pilot program in Arizona, I actually had bulletin boards made up, or I should say both bulletin boards and book displays. And if I saw somebody while I was roaming the floors looking at it, I'd say, does this make sense? Do you know what citizen science is? And many times they would say, no, I really don't understand. So it's a great way to engage your community in just understanding what citizen science is all about, what it means, how they can get involved. And we've created several poster size downloadables for you to use to start that engagement. You can see one on the very right. We provide questions, and then you just print and post that on a bulletin board and a book display with some sticky notes and pencils, and get feedback from your community to find out what interests them in science, what concerns they have related to science, whether it is medical issues like Alzheimer's or biodiversity, you know, birds populations disappearing. Those are the kind of things you can just get from a book display or a bulletin board. We have a picture here of an Oregon librarian who created a poster showing all the different events she did a couple years ago for Citizen Science Month. So again, just front and center, let your community know that you are a hub through citizen science. And then also we have book lists. Right now you can find them on our Citizen Science Month web pages, and those can be used for collection development guides, or you can rearrange them and use them for your own displays or newsletters to let people know your collection is ready to help them learn more about citizen science, whether it's how to look at stars or how to take better pictures for iNaturalists with their smart devices. Your collection may be full of supporting materials that will help your efforts to get your community engaged and involved in citizen science. Okay, the next slide. So the next step might be actually bringing your community together and having a face-to-face presentation about what citizen science is. And we've created a PowerPoint with speaker notes that you can download to do that. We don't want you to have to start from the beginning. Use things that we've already started for you and edit it and change it to fit the needs of your community. And then from that might help you decide what projects maybe your community wants to focus on or what issues. So again, start slow and grow as you and your community gain confidence from these different types of activities. In the next slide, we offer the suggestion of doing either story times, start them young. You don't have to wait till they're teens or adults. Do story times around citizen science. Again, there's a lot of picture books or storybooks that you can find on our book list. Also, we'd recommend doing adult or teen discussions. This Field Guide to Citizen Science by SciStarter co-founder Darlene Cavalier and co-author gives a description of citizen science, a month-by-month description of activities or projects you might want to get involved with, and just a whole list of other projects. There are thousands of projects on the SciStarter platform. So this book kind of narrows them down for you and makes them maybe an easier lift to start on thinking about how to approach, citizen science in your community. I would also encourage you to look at your digital download services. This book is available through many of those. So if you don't have a physical copy, you certainly can use and review it through the digital download services. Okay, next. Another thing we've just done is put together a citizen science bingo game. And that again, right now is available through the Citizen Science Month website. And again, we encourage you to use this to start the process or possibly change it up to fit your needs. Also think of using it as a scavenger hunt. Put these out just for people to take, maybe even offer a little friendly competition. And if you finish it, you'll be eligible for a small prize drawing or something special if they turn them in completed. Again, scavenger hunts or bingos are a great thing to put in your book displays at the front service desk. Maybe have them available at programs just to keep the interest and preparation of getting involved in citizen science handy for your community. And don't forget to coordinate and partner with some of your local subject experts in the Parks and Rec department. Maybe you have even a federal or state park nearby that can help you expand or change up these scavenger hunt or bingo cards to meet your community needs.
I just want to add that we just created this for Citizen Science Month, which is in April. We are going to be revising it to be more evergreen and just citizen science in general. So we'll send that out once it's ready. But this one is customizable now. It's a Word doc, so you can download it and type in the boxes yourself. Another idea, and somebody already mentioned this in the chat, in a Fox program that they just had, was inviting a subject matter expert to inspire and inform your audience. I'm sure you already do this in a lot of ways. I think that some of the things that we have learned as far as what works for citizen science, it's kind of thinking outside the box about what a subject matter expert is. It doesn't have to be a university scientist. A local beekeeper is somebody that we often see folks reaching out to for a pollinator program. An amateur astronomer, which there are tons of different resources and databases for speakers. One of them is the SciStarter People Finder. There's also NASA Night Sky Network. The National Girls Collaborative Project runs a database called Fab Femmes, which is all about female role models. And many of these individuals could attend virtually. If they're in your local area, they can come in person. And these are really great introductions to citizen science. Make sure that you have kind of next steps for your community once they hear from the subject expert. What do they do with that knowledge? How do they get involved? So having computers ready for folks to sign up for SciStarter, having citizen science kits, which we'll talk about in a moment, on display that your audience can borrow. Just some next steps so that it's not just the subject matter expert talking, but really thinking about how to get the communities engaged.
And Tara,
oh yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Well, that's what I was going to say, that we're getting some great ideas in the chat. So keep those coming in. You may have an idea that we've never thought about or someone else hasn't. So make sure you share those with everyone.
Yes, and we can download and send this chat out. So if you have other ideas, just keep putting them in the chat.
Yeah, and one thing I didn't mention with the mosquito mapping, many municipalities, counties, maybe even up to the state level, have vector control who address the issues of mosquito control. I know in Maricopa County, which is Phoenix area, their vector control has an educational department, and they were willing to come out and set up an information table. And that's another way to program. You don't have to bring people in a room. have that subject specialist come and sit at an information table if your library's set up to do so, encouraging them to have displays, especially if they can be hands-on, and they're there to talk to people as they walk by who may not want to make the time for an hour-long program, but would love to talk to a subject matter specialist for a few minutes. So, thanks.
Wonderful ideas. The other, we have more. Another very popular event, which I'm sure many of you have heard of, is a BioBlitz, which is getting teams of individuals together to find and identify as many living species as possible in a one amount of time. So meeting in a local park, a local forest, even around your library if it is in a more rural location, or if you have some nature around it, and then going out and doing that data collection using the iNaturalist app or other app-based programs where you can take photos of the biodiversity and collect it. So this is a really great event. This one, is one of the first things that came to mind when we thought about All Together Now. BioBlitz is really about togetherness and collecting information together. So we encourage you to invite some local experts there as well. iNaturalist has a guide to developing a BioBlitz. We'll send that out in a link in the follow-up email, so you could take a look at that guide. And then, as always, having tablets ready with the iNaturalist app, or having folks some guidance on how folks can download the app. I was just presenting at a conference and we ended a little bit early, but then I ended up helping a bunch of people download the iNaturalist app onto their phone. So having some technical support around that as well. Thank you, Robin. You put it right in the chat. So how many of, I'm curious, just use the hand raise function. How many of you have done a BioBlitz at your library, or have heard of BioBlitz? I know this one is super popular. Not too many people. Okay. Robin, anything else you want to say about BioBlitz? Because I know you've done them before.
Yeah, I just really would, if possible, encourage you to get local experts, and that may even be the local biology teacher, high school or community college level. If there's Audubon people around, they'd be great for bird watching, especially if they could bring their equipment to capture photos of birds. Birds are not easy to capture for an observation on a smart device. Not impossible, but those people with that amazing photography equipment would be great to have. When we did ours in Gilbert, Arizona several years ago, we had people from federal forestry departments, our county parks, our local Arizona State University entomology department. So just reach out, and again, use that SciStarter. I'll put the website in the chat, People Finder, to see if you can find experts that way. That they don't have to be traditional, formally trained. They can be people like who are iNaturalists, who have developed their own specialization and can help identify habitats and the animals, the flora and fauna you're seeing.
Absolutely. This is my personal favorite type of event because I just have an affinity for astronomy, but hosting a star party is another great way to rally around. There's many different citizen science projects that you can be doing. One of them is the Globe at Night that we talked about, measuring the light pollution, but you can make it a daytime star party, right? We have the biggest star in our solar system out during the day, the sun. So thinking about some great activities there. The Globe Observer app that Robin had mentioned with mosquitoes has another great protocol all about cloud observations, which is super interesting. You take a look at the sky and you can kind of map out what percentage of the sky is filled with clouds. And then there's additional questions about what's the color of the sky. It's super, super interesting. That one app has all of those different protocols. So thinking about doing a star party, and there's a ton of great make and take STEM activities. I come from the museum world, and I just think about all the fun astronomy related STEM activities that you can have at your star party. And our friends at StarNet have a STEM activity clearinghouse that you can go and actually search any type of STEM activity, but you can filter by citizen science, filter by astronomy, and I'm thinking about some of those additional kind of make and take type things to have at a star party, but then also doing some citizen science, whether it's through the Globe app or the Globe at Night project. And obviously inviting some local astronomy folks out to come as well. Some of the great databases there are NASA's Night Sky Network, the International Dark Sky Association, local amateur astronomer groups, your university. So this is one that I would want to come attend. Let's see, Jennifer said, we had a star party plan last fall. Oh, it rained. That's okay. And that just reminds me too, there's during Citizen Science Month, there is a great webinar hosted by our StarNet friends. I should have put it at the end slide, but I'll put it in the follow-up, all about the eclipse planning, because we know it's coming and we know libraries were so central to the success of the eclipse, how many ever years ago that was. And so thinking about, some citizen science during the eclipse as well.
And on that note, as you talk about the videos, don't forget to try using SciStarter pre-recorded webinars, even if it's just a section. We have many of the project scientists interviewed or part of previous webinars. Dr. Connie Walker for Globe at Night is on several of our webinars, and she describes how to use the kit where we put a light meter in it, or just using the sky to identify the brightness of light pollution through their our online app. And it's a great way to learn and to kind of get a background of the people who are actually leading or develop these projects.
Absolutely. The last one I think it's the last one. I don't know. There might be one after this. A pollinator event. And I'm not going to go too deeply into this one because Robin and I are hosting a Pollinator Palooza webinar next month for Citizen Science Month, which we're going to go into a lot more about how to host a pollinator event. But this is another one that we see a lot of libraries gravitating towards. Somebody mentioned before community gardens. That's a great way to kind of tie all of this together. Pollinator gardens, thinking about how, being strategic about what plants you're planting that might attract pollinators. And then using the Great Sunflower Project to go out and observe pollinators, or the iNaturalist app is another great type of event. And we have a slew of supplementary resources, some in Spanish as well, that we have developed for children and youth to engage in pollinator learning. And then we have the kits as well. Actually, that's my next slide, is these kits. So most of the projects that we talked about today, I think, so measuring light, observing pollinators, mosquito, and the iNaturalist, there are kits that we have developed associated with these projects. And what I mean by developed is we have kind of thought through soup to nuts what it would take to build a kit that somebody can check out at your library. Unfortunately, we don't have funding to provide kits to libraries, but we have built out these pages with all of the links that you might need to build one of these kits. So for example, not all of them have specialized tools, but for the iNaturalist kit, we suggest you include some lenses in there that folks can take even close-up pictures of certain flora, fauna, bugs. For the measuring light in the night kit, there's obviously the light meter and a red light flashlight and a star finder. There's a monitoring air quality project that comes with has you purchase an air sensor. So we've thought about how to package these in a way to make these projects super accessible to your community. So many libraries are building these kits, and we are here to serve as technical support for that. So as you research and think about which kits you want, please email us at the Library Network email, which I'll put in the chat in a moment, and we'll help you troubleshoot how many kits, what's the right kind of kits for your audience, all of those questions. So we hope that these pages are super helpful to you if you choose to build citizen science kits. And then I don't have it on this slide, but we are We have a map that we are building of all the libraries that have citizen science kits, and we encourage you, if you do have a kit, to add your location to our map so that we can help promote your kit, but also for us to kind of see the collective impact of this libraries as community hubs program. Oh, zombie hunting kit. Michael says, please talk about zombie hunting kit. Robin, do you want to talk about that one since it's Arizona-ish based?
Sure.
And I will say all of the other kits are you can do them anywhere. The zombie kit is go for it, Robin. You explain it.
Okay. Basically, the zombie kit is helping identify if a parasite is in your area that infects honeybees. It would be amazing if you could work with a bee keeper. The project scientists have asked that, you know, if traps could be coordinated near beehives, that would be wonderful, but not absolutely necessary. If you look at our kit, it's with the other ones. It actually links you to the Zombie Watch website, and they have a map that shows where they are getting reports of this parasite, or they call it the zombie fly, occur. And it's basically, and this kit is pretty inexpensive. You just need a like a liter or a large water bottle and cut it up with some string, and then buy a either battery or rechargeable LED light and hang it up at night, especially in areas where you might have found bees laying around. That may or may not be an indication that they've been infected. But if a bee should go into the trap, you keep an eye on it for several days. If this parasite, you know, pops out of it, then, you know, there's a good chance that it is the zombie fly and there is an infection in your area. That data then is, the pictures are asked to be taken, and the data is uploaded through SciStarter to the Zombie Watch website. And, you know, again, they have a better understanding where the movement of this zombie fly is occurring.
You are the eyes and ears on the ground for the movement of the zombie fly. Sarah had a great question. Are these kits aimed at family use, or would they be able to be used for a library program too? These are multi-use. They are open to any audience, and they are customizable. So we kind of lay out the essential items that you would need to participate in the project. And that could be, we kind of envision it as one person participating in the project per kit. If you have a group that wants to participate, we have some suggestions on how to build a group kit. For example, if you have youth programming coming into the library. But these are also for adults. Mostly they're for adults, honestly. And we encourage, if they are for youth, to kind of supplement them with some of our youth-focused worksheets, maybe some additional STEM activities, so that they are more well-rounded for youth and have some of those introductory pieces. For example, you know, a great pollinator event might not be about a community garden at all. It could be an introduction to pollinators for youth, where you think about honey and look at different and kind of put out different kinds of honey and do an analysis of that and talk about what is a pollinator, and then go out and actually observe bees, right? So you can kind of build out programming around each of these type of projects, so that they have some context and they have built up some confidence as citizen scientists to go out and observe that programming, observe whatever the project is all about. But that goes for adults too, right? Like building the kits might be one element to a larger citizen science programming that you have at your library. We definitely encourage you to start with some of those introductory pieces, like the training and maybe inviting a speaker before having folks jump right in. And these are Tara, great questions. Absolutely.
Yeah, Tara, we've looked at a lot of outdoor type projects. There are many indoor projects as well that can be done indoor, whether helping look at a webcam, a nature cam, traps, yep. Or, and this is gosh, I think it might be tomorrow. There's a great project called Stall Catchers, and there's a catch-a-thon coming up. Look at the Citizen Science Month events, create a stall catcher account, and be part of a team or an individual who watches, looks at clips of videos of mice brain, blood flow vessel, blood vessels flowing, and just mark, is that blood flowing freely through, or is it stalling? And all this data that's being collected for this project helps develop cures for Alzheimer's. Again, I don't know if it's millions, but certainly hundreds of thousands of clips have been viewed, and they're all contributing to the cure for Alzheimer's. So something you can do at a computer if you have internet. Certainly, we did a catch-a-thon several years ago at the library I worked at. You just have to make sure you have the computers, the internet to support that, but it's not too big an issue.
As Robin mentioned, there are tons of projects, and some of them are hyper local. And you can find those by filtering on the project finder and looking. You can filter by age, by audience, by type of project. We also suggest that you put out a survey to your audience to see what they're interested in, right? This is all about togetherness and what the community cares about. So putting out a survey, we have an example survey that you can download and modify to your needs, and seeing what folks are interested in before picking the project for your audience, right? Engaging them in that, in finding projects that are meaningful to your community. And lastly, we encourage, once you have your events, to add them to the SciStarter event calendar. We can help promote them, but we also are hoping to, again, measure that collective impact of citizen science and be able to measure what libraries are engaging in citizen science and becoming community hubs for citizen science. Also, there's tons of promotional resources. Here is an example of some. You can do a stand display. We have all those different projects with the kits. We have rack cards for them if you choose to build the kits, or offer programming around them. There are tons of promotional materials as well. So we have plenty of time for questions. I'd love if you all want to talk about specifics or different types of projects. We are here to answer those questions. Feel free to put them in the chat.
And I just really want to encourage everyone to go to Citizen Science Month, the webpage, and get involved with maybe previewing projects through that, or just kind of getting a better feel for what it means to be involved with citizen science. We are working with some libraries during the month of April, which is Citizen Science Month, where you can see maybe what they're doing and translate that into a project or a program at your library.
Robin, we had a great question from Jennifer. Do you have any suggestions for grant funds for materials and speaker fees? Do you want to talk about the LSTA grants, Robin?
Sure. Arizona State Library has been an amazing partner with us. And for 3 years, they have offered LSTA grants specifically for citizen science. And now, of course, they still say apply for an LSTA grant and you can, have it for citizen science. If you guys need help with that, I'll go look it up right now. They have a great example for the application process. But yeah, if your state library offers those kind of grants, apply for it, and again, use some of the information from our website to help fill in, information about what you'd want to do, why it's important to your community. In Arizona, libraries used it to bring in and build kits, maybe other equipment, maybe they need a couple smart devices or hotspots. So LSTA grants are a great way to do it. I always encourage people to look at your local community groups like the Rotary, Kiwanis. I've seen them, do everything from buy equipment for libraries to help with remodeling. Why not a few $1,000s to support citizen science? Because, you're developing science literacy in your community, which is as important as, reading and financial literacy, as well as maybe preparing future scientists or engineers. So this is an important program that develops skills. And that's something else when you're looking at the training. You'll notice there's these wonderful icons or what we call badges associated with each of the trainings. There's actual skills associated with that. And those are skills that people can translate into, their interviews, saying, I've worked through citizen science and I know how to work with teams of people, or I understand how to interpret data. So make sure you look at the brochure on the left side of the screen on our training programs to get a better understanding what the badges stand for and what skills that people can translate hopefully into maybe things that they would be doing in a job.
That's a great suggestion, Robin. I think that contextualizing citizen science and the benefits, not just to your patrons, but to others in the community, is a really great way to try to support some funding around this. Okay, here is the event here for the Pollinator Palooza coming up on April 19th. Will you have other Zooms besides pollinators? So, yes, there are tons of events happening in Citizen Science Month. If you go to citizensciencemonth.org, you can look at all of the events. There are events about at the Stall Catchers program. There are a ton of events about the All of Us research program. What else, Robin? There are
book lists, the bingo card, yeah, certificates.
I was just trying to think of other events that were happening, other
events.
Themes. Yeah. I mean, there are at least 30 events that are currently on the event list that you can check out. Most of them are virtual. So take a look at that. Yeah. Some of them are specific for libraries, others are more broad. Robin, do you want to put the evaluation link in the chat? Please let us know what you want out of this network by completing this evaluation. We are here to serve libraries, and make sure that you join the library network. We have a newsletter that comes out. I mean, right now it's coming out monthly because we just have so much going on. But we have a newsletter that comes out with all of the events that are happening in the network, all of the webinars. So join the library network at SciStarter.org/library network. We'll send all of this in the follow-up as well.
Yeah, and there's a question, how do you get an event added to your page? First of all, you do need a SciStarter account. It's free. And by having that, you're part of our community. So we're happy to have you add your events to the events calendar, and just putting that link there. But you're not going to be able to add one until you have your SciStarter account and you're logged into SciStarter. It's all free. And we just got a great book suggestion. If anyone, Jane says, is looking for a short kids chapter book that features citizen science, Ada Twist and the Perilous Pants, is really great. And is that a series? And if not, it would be a great kids book discussion if you were, doing the all together idea or citizen science for your summer reading.
It is a book series. Let me see if I have it. I think I do.
Okay, yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, you could, And I don't know, what
This
kind
is
of,
another one, Rosie Revere, engineer. Of course, I have
that's,
them. Andrea Beatty is the author, and that's a great, we love this series a lot. So that's a great one to, again, talk about those skills that are needed that citizen scientists need, like observation, prediction, data collection, analysis. These books are really good for that.
yeah, that's great. So yeah, and again, they're in the Citizen Science Month, but you'll find book lists with adult and youth books for general citizen science topics, one more focused on astronomy, and one focused on pollinators. And with all those information worksheets that are created, by the way, through the support of the National Network of Libraries of Medicine, you can put those out as coloring pages, use as a program, again, put them in book displays, and they're certainly going to get your younger folks better understanding the role of pollinators, especially for healthy food choices. I certainly wouldn't be able to have a garden in my backyard without those pollinators. They're super important.
Every third bite of food, they say, is because of a pollinator.
Yep. And again, thanks. You're doing citizen science when you fill in that survey we've asked you to do. So please take a few minutes. We need your feedback. We need to know how this is affecting everyone in their library program. So we really appreciate you filling in the library survey that we put into the chat.
Yes,
So
thank you all. Yeah, and thank you for such an engaging webinar. We will see you again in April for the pollinators. Pollinator Palooza. We have to get started on those slides, Robin.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone. Stop the recording.